Welcome everyone to 2021 and our first of the year monthly mortgage and market update. As always, Nicole Rueth from Fairway Mortgage is joining me. Happy New Year, Nicole. I'm so excited to see you.
I know. It feels like it's been forever. And I was even commenting that it feels like it's been 6 months since Christmas happened. It's been that kind of blur of a takeoff year.
Exactly, because so much has happened too. I mean, we just got
Yes.
the holidays, a new year, now a new president. So now that President Biden is in office, obviously he's reversing a lot of, things that President Trump did. But what does President Biden in office mean for our housing market, for our buyers and our sellers out there?
Right? Because you could go on for hours if it was what all is he doing?
Yes.
I have to say, though, I went in October down to Mexico. I hadn't been to Mexico in a while, and I saw the wall that was getting built. I had no concept of how big that thing was. So he's stopping that. But so that's not housing related. So let's talk housing related. So I just was enamored of how big that thing is. So housing, what is he doing? He's talking about wanting to do a first-time home buyer tax credit at the closing table, $15,000. Whether or not that will happen and how it rolls out, my mind goes back to Neighborhood Gold. I don't know if you remember when that rolled out, but it was $15,000 at the closing table in a forgivable grant. This is a tax credit. So he's kind of marrying a couple of concepts and trying to put it all together. So he's trying to do that. He's also trying to push affordable housing. So he's doing that in a number of ways by giving opportunity to builders to build out into suburbs. He's also trying to change zoning laws that allow for that. He's trying to make it available for those buyers. There's a lot of things that are wrapped up into that, and it's not really fully designed, but more conceptually desired. Right. So we know that there's conversation around that, and that it's going to impact whether it impacts the rental opportunities in suburban areas, because he's trying to get outside of the urban core where we do have enough rentals and look at multi-units. Now, building for multi-units is actually down. So the starts and permits for single families is way up, but the starts and permits for multi is down because of COVID and everybody wanting single families and wanting not shared elevators. So he's wanting to build something that the builders don't want to build right now. So we'll see where that goes. But one of the other things that he's doing that has, more of a dramatic, he's really putting the focus on with some of his change of personnel, right? If we think of Yellen coming in, we think of course, Powell has been here. If we think of the new CFPB director, so some of the folks that he's naming have a very clear directive of providing affordability, of providing housing, of providing a lift for multicultural opportunity in housing and building wealth. That's going to play out over the next 4 years. And we have to know that's probably going to cost money, right? Which is in turn, we're going to see things like inflation come in. We're going to see the Fed's continuing to buy mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. And all that kind of goes into one of the other topics that we're talking about is interest rates, right? So some of the things that he's doing with, especially his $1.9 trillion stimulus package, really on the back of a $900 million stimulus package that was just passed, right? So how do you put those, or billion, sorry, wrong letter, 900 billion followed a 1.9 trillion. But interest rates are going to start to move this year. They're going to start to move for a number of reasons. Only one small amount is the amount of money that's coming in, but really it's more about the market's anticipation of the spend rather than even the spend. We're seeing the anticipation of things happening is moving markets more. The Fed is meeting this Wednesday, and if they start talking about pulling back the purchase of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, we'll start to see that will impact the markets, which will then impact interest rates long before they actually stop purchasing mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. So much of what's impacting the markets right now, to circle back and probably stop the answering of this question is more the anticipation of the change, right? builder confidence, it has come down slightly because builders don't know what kind of taxation and what kind of environment they're walking into for these new builds that Biden wants to see with affordability, right? Consumer confidence is down because of the expectation of we don't know what exactly is going to roll out with this new president. I think all of these things are lining up to where we just need some concrete things to happen before we start to see what is that interest rate going to be, what is the housing market going to be, and where is the economy going to go.
Right. And you were just talking about a lot of anticipation, a lot of
Yes.
people wanting to get back out there, get back to shopping, get back to a normal life. And with that said, now we have the holiday season. We just passed the holiday season, and for me, all of my bills are now coming in. So
Yes.
I'm pinching pennies a lot this month because I wanted to treat my family, spend a lot of money over the holiday season. But that made me start thinking about, I'm worried about the people that maybe don't have that rainy day savings funds that could, they could use on those, maybe high credit card bills they have from the holiday season, which got me thinking about forbearances. Do you see any, not necessarily new forbearances, but a surge of forbearances now that we're in 2021?
So one of the other things that Biden is doing is extended the deadlines, right? So the foreclosure deadline has been extended, and so just through March. So it's not that far. In fact, I'd actually read several places where he wanted it extended through September. It won't surprise me if it gets extended again through September, but it's not quite there yet. But so forbearances, when you think of the numbers, when you roll out how many people are in forbearance, how many people are in Colorado as far as number of households, what does that roll down to as far as what's the real risk of those people in forbearance turning into foreclosure? Because many of those forbearances, they were making the mortgage payments anyway. They just wanted it to, as a backstop.
Yeah.
But you did have some people that were in forbearance that fully needed it and might not be able to recover. We have such a high equity position here in Colorado, such a low delinquency. We're only 0.3% delinquent. So the number of people that are actually behind, if I take the 11 county DMAR area, that equates to about 6,000 households who are at risk of their forbearance turning into foreclosure. But let's think about that for a minute. That's not people who are underwater. It's simply people who are delinquent. So all they'll do is turn around and sell those homes at the market price. And we're so desperate in need of inventory, all it's going to do is provide those buyers an opportunity to get in, because they're not all going to come on the market at the same time. We might see some switching, right? We might see some homeowners that have to rent for a little while, and we have some renters that are going to be so joyful to move into a home. So you're going to see some of that switch. I just don't know how much it is. Of course, the Colorado economy is relatively strong, but we need those hospitality jobs to come back in line.
Absolutely. And something else that I've been seeing, especially with my clients, is my next three selling clients that want to sell their house, they're all selling and leaving the Denver metro area. They're all cash, like you just said about, we have enough equity cushion now that people are realizing, especially because of COVID and joining with that fact that a lot of companies are now either permanently working from home or maybe working from home for the next at least 2 years until everyone's vaccinated and people can go back to a normal life, that they're taking this into effect and thinking, you know what, if I can sell out and get the equity out of my house now, because I've owned it for 2, 4, 6 years, and go to Texas, go to Nebraska, maybe go live near family for a couple years, something like that. It's really telling, because my next 3 clients are all moving out of town. So
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Denver is affordable still, but it's all in relationship, right? It's affordable if you compare it to Californians who are moving in town, or Chicagoans, or people from Florida. If they're coming from the coastal states, or they're coming from the major metros, Denver's still affordable. Now we've got high tech and we're diversified now. We're no longer just oil and gas. So we're attracting those people who want the mountains and want to experience all that Denver has. Regretfully, we are going to lose a section of those, especially lower income or minimum wage employees, that are going to go to Nebraska or Kansas or wherever and have a full life. And you hear cities like Kansas City that are booming right now because of the affordability there. So we will see that shift in dynamics, especially right now where you can work from anywhere. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And with inventory still being so incredibly historically low, just like interest rates, it just creates such an interesting market for both you and for me. So anything else, Nicole, anything else you're looking forward to? Anything else that's going on?
I will talk about interest rates just for a second more, because realistically, I talked about this anticipation is changing markets. The Fed at some point, and if not on Wednesday, which I actually don't think it'll happen on Wednesday, if not on Wednesday, some point in the near future, they're going to have to start identifying when they're going to start pulling back on all that spending of mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. And when it happens, you can see the very clear history of when that happens. Bernanke did it last. We see what's called a taper tantrum. And a taper tantrum, when it happened last time, it was 1.5 points within a week's period of time. It was very fast, and it was a very swift move up in rates. So when that happens, we have to know that we're going to see a shift. Now, will it stay there? It didn't stay there. It went up, and then it started to trickle down, but it never came back down to where it was before it jumped up. So we have to know that today's rates will change at some point. How soon? That's the subject, right? Will it be now? The Fed has said that they're going to keep rates low until 2022. That's a year away, or plus or minus, right? So will they start talking about this in the summertime or in the fall? So if you're thinking about buying at all, or thinking about selling and buying, there are still bridge loans. You can have extended closing dates. You can negotiate an ability to get out of the contract as a seller if you don't find the perfect home. I mean, there are ways to purchase either before or in tandem with selling. And so that's the conversation that you have to have with your real estate agent, like Marybeth, where you're talking about what are my options, because I want to take advantage of these low interest rates, because next year, this time, how much higher? I don't think that they're going to go to 5 or 6, but even if they went to 3.5 or 4, that could be significant, and it could change what you can afford. So this is definitely something where we have to keep our eyes wide open. We have to be alert as to when that happens, and when the Fed started to announce that they're going to pull back on the mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. And we just have to kind of be aware of what that does to our ability to purchase in today's market.
Absolutely. Very well said. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're super busy, so I'll let you go on this Monday. But for anyone who's interested in maybe purchasing a home, investing in a home, refinancing your current home and getting some of that money out, or maybe just decreasing the year term of your mortgage, I will have all of Nicole's information down below. And if anyone's interested in purchasing home, investing, buying, selling, I'll have my information down below too. Nicole, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. And
Yes.
I'll see you next month.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.